Welcome to Greek Verse a Day. Today we're doing a little bit longer of a verse, actually quite a bit longer of a verse than what we are accustomed to with Revelation 2:13. Remember our context here in Revelation 2:12. We have just shifted gears to a new church that John is being commanded what to write to the angel over the church in Pergamum, namely to the churches that are in the city of Pergamum. And then he's going to be told what. In verse 12, he says, Revelation, the author, John of Revelation says, thus says the one with the sharp two-edged sword in his mouth says these things. And now starting in Revelation 2:13, we're going to get these things. So as always, you should be working from this. We'll do our two readings, one slow, one fast. You'll pause. You may have to do a longer pause this go around to deal with all of the content here, and then I'll jump in with some grammatical help and translation. So we have oida pu katoikes hapu ha thronos tu satana kai krates ta anima mu kai uk eraneso tain piston mu, kai in tais hemerais antipas ha martus mu ha pistas mu, has apactanthe par humen, hapu ha satanas kat oike. One more time, a little bit faster. Oida pu katoikes hapu ha thronas tu satana, kai krates ta anima mu, kai uk eraneso tain piston mu, kai in tais hemerais antipas ha martus mu ha pistas mu, has apactanthe par humen, hapu ha satanas kat oike. All right, at this point, go ahead and pause and see what it is that you can make of this longer sentence. Because it's a little bit longer, if you struggle with some things, if you struggle sort of putting it all together, that's totally okay, but the struggle is worth it. I promise. I promise that you are learning things in the struggle. So go ahead and struggle or don't, and then come back in and I'll provide help with the struggle. All right, so what we have going on here, our verb is going to be the very first word in the sentence. This is one of those special verbs that you sort of in your vocabulary just memorized as I know. So oida is I know, and then the content of what is known, and the I here is Jesus, is going to be what follows here. All of this stuff is the stuff that Jesus knows about the church of Pergamum. So I know pu, where, katoikes, another indicative verb here, where you live. So this is a present active indicative. Second person singular. Remember, it's a singular because the angel is being addressed. And John will often actually switch between the singular and the plural, between sort of addressing the angel and the churches that are represented by the angel. Where you live. And then another word for where, hapu, where, ha thronos, the throne, tu satana. So a genitive here describing the throne, where the throne of Satan, and we sort of really want a verb there in English and we have to put it in, namely the to be verb, where the throne of Satan is. In Greek, we'd like that estin to be there, but it's not. John doesn't always include the words or the grammar that we would like to have there. Where the throne of Satan is, and then another verb, krates. Let's go ahead and underline all of our indicative verbs here. You grasp. So krate is from krateo. This is a present active indicative, second person singular. You grasp or you hold to. And the thing that you grasp, that the angel grasps or the churches grasp, is ta anima mu. So this is a accusative neuter singular. Remember, the nominative and the neuter are going to look exactly, or the nominative and the accusative, are going to look exactly the same in the neuter. In this case, the word for name with mu following it. Personal pronoun meaning my, showing possession. So you grasp or you hold to my name. Kai uk eraneso. So we have another indicative verb here, and you get parsing help on this one in your Reader's Edition. It doesn't necessarily look like what you might expect. With this so at the end, you might think a first person singular future, but that's not actually what's going on here. If you look at the parsing note, this is going to be an aorist middle indicative second person singular. And it makes sense that we have a second person singular following all of these other second person singulars. It comes from arneomai, which means deny. And it's because it's aorist, as we said, and as is indicated in the parsing note, that's we're working with past time. And you did not deny. And what the church in Pergamum did not deny was tein pistin mu, my faith. Excuse me. Once again, we have the mu in the genitive case showing possession. And then going on, kai in tais hemerais antipas. So this whole thing right here is going to be a prepositional phrase. In the days antipas. So antipas here is a name. You don't get a note for it in your Reader's Edition because you usually don't get notes for names in the Reader's Edition. And antipas is what is called an indeclinable name. Can you remind me what it is that indeclinable means? That's exactly right. It does not change its form for different cases. So we presume that this is in the genitive case, even though it would look exactly the same whatever case it would be in. So we just have to sort of assume that in the days of Antipas. And there's a question about who this Antipas is. Presumably was known to the audience of Revelation. John has a tendency to use names somewhat symbolically, but this seems to be a case where he's referring to a real person and a real event, namely this Antipas who was killed, which we're going to find out right over here. So Antipas, and then following Antipas is going to be more information just kind of tacked on to Antipas. This is what is called apposition. So this whole phrase right here, ha martus mu, ha pistos mu, is in apposition to Antipas. And normally we would expect something in apposition, something that's followed and tacked on to give more information about a person, a place, or a thing, to be in the same case as the person, place, or thing. In this case, we have this is in the genitive case, even though it doesn't decline. So this, properly speaking, should probably be in the genitive case. But as we've seen before, and as we'll see again, John does not necessarily follow grammatical rules all that closely. So we get it in the nominative here, the witness of me, the faithful one of me. So all of this describing Antipas, to smooth it out in English, we would say probably my faithful witness. We like to constrain things as much as we can, but notice that there are two separate titles here: ha martus mu, ha pistos mu. That they sort of are different from one another. And I have to look back at what the English translations do, but my hunch is that many of them sort of smash the two together to make it just my faithful witness. And moving on, hos, we have a relative pronoun here. Remember, rough breathing mark, rough, throwing my pencil. Rough relative. In this case, in the nominative, a nominative masculine singular, referring back to Antipas. So the antecedent of hos is going to be Antipas here. And with the relative pronoun, we're translating who. So this is going to be the subject of this passive verb right here, which I believe you get a parsing note. Yes, you do get a parsing note. I just double checked here. You do get a parsing note for this one. It's going to be an aorist, passive, indicative, third person singular from apakteno, which means to kill. So in the passive, was killed. Who was killed? And then we have par humin. which normally, so when we have par with the dative, we normally translate it as this prepositional phrase as with, or so was killed with you. But in English, that sort of implies that the churches there, the individuals that make up the churches, were also killed. So it's more of the sense, it seems to be more of the sense among you. He was killed amongst you. That is to say, he was sort of one of your members, and he was killed. And then at the end here, we have John sort of tacking on more information about the place. So we have this katoi case up here. We saw it. Do we have it one other time in this verse? No, we didn't. I thought we had it one other time, but we don't. But John is sort of repeating this bit about Satan being in Pergamum. So this phrase here is going to be where ha Satanas. Notice that we have a nominative masculine singular, strongly indicated by our definite article. So that's going to be our subject of katoi ke, present active indicative third person singular from katoi keo, meaning to live or to dwell. So where Satan dwells. So to put this long sentence back together here, we have, I know where you dwell, where the throne of Satan is, and you grasped my name, and you did not deny my faith. And in the days of Antipas, my faithful witness, who was killed amongst you, where Satan dwells.